Now, welcome to our live counseling session. It's been a while and we are very excited to have you back. And guess who I have in the house? My name is Purity Muronge and I have in the house one of the amazing couples in town, and I will allow them to introduce themselves.
Thank you. Since I'm the one who has been here, let me take the honors of introducing myself again.
Yes.
I'm Reverend Ken Kimiwe, the Deputy Bishop of Christ's Yansa Ministries, and I also serve as the Senior Pastor at CITAM Buruburu. And with me, right beside me, is the one and only.
Absolutely.
I call her the joy of my heart.
Yes.
That is Joy Kimiwe. And we've been married now for the last 27 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Joy Kimiwe, and I'm glad and blessed to be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now,
very happy
thank
to
you
be
very
here.
much for honoring this invitation just to come and share this counseling live session set. I believe you have been, from the previous conversations,
Yes.
the individual family sessions that you've been helping us with,
Right.
just talking about the family. Of course, you're one of the model couples that are very few amongst the many that God has given to us, even to model what a Christian family looks like. And it's such a joy to host you, Bishop, with your wonderful wife, Ma'am Joy.
Amen.
And today we are just going to be responding to some of the questions that have come from your conversations on family,
Sure.
but also would want to address current issues. In the recent past, we've witnessed a lot of murder in the family, a lot of disappointments, suicide cases,
Yeah.
intimate partner violence,
You know.
university students getting murdered. And maybe, I don't know where I would want us to begin that conversation. Over to you.
I think, Purity, what we are looking at is a scenario that might even go worse if we don't mitigate it.
Yeah.
And I see the church really coming in and trying to see how we can address the issues that are in comparing our people, issues that people are addressing in their homes. One of them, of course, is the gender violence that we see in our homes, and is because of the stress that people are going through in their places of work, where you find that you are working but you're not able to meet the demands of your home. And some people even resort into abusing either drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
For others, they just, hit it on one another because they don't have anybody else they can hit at. So, they come home
Yeah.
and it is the wife or it is the husband.
Yeah.
And by the way, it is now both ways.
Yeah.
Very
It
true.
could be the wife
Yeah.
hitting on the husband.
Very true.
So we have a scenario which is growing worse and worse. And the worst part of it is that it's not just happening in the home, even outside of the home,
Yes.
between boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yes.
A case in mind is just the recent one where this boy came with an axe and just killed the girlfriend.
Very
These
sad.
are not people who are married.
Very
These are
sad.
people who are still in a kind of a friendship. So we are saying there's a scenario that is painting itself in our society that we need to address.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the question would, Ma'am Joy, maybe you can respond. We would ask ourselves then, what exactly could be the issue? Because it's not just a random case. There are many of them where you find young people are killing one another and they're not even in a marriage relationship, even before we even talk about the domestic violence,
Okay.
which has really escalated. What exactly could be the issue with particularly the young people? Yeah.
I want to say, even before I get to the young people,
Yes.
that before you get to the young people, the babies are in it. I've seen a series of clips and things on social media of babies being beaten up. A baby of maybe a year or less is being boxed and kicked by a house girl or whatever. So this thing is starting from so far before you even come to the family. But you asked about young people. There's so much pressure. There's a lot of expectation. I come from a counseling background.
Yes.
And I would say at home, the parents are expecting them to perform in school.
Yeah.
The teachers are expecting them to perform. They get to work and we have, what is it called, performance contracts.
Yes.
They get into the society, they get to church, everywhere pressure, you must perform, and they look for other ways, and either they will go into drug and alcohol and other substance abuse or violence, because there's so much pressure that must come out. Before you even get there, the house girl who is battering a baby, I say hurt people, hurt others.
Of course.
You can only give what you have.
That's true.
They've gone through poverty, they've gone through a lot of things, and now they resort to the weakest instrument, and that's a child. If it is boyfriend, girlfriend, the young man has gone through so much pressure, the weakest point of reducing on his pressure is the girlfriend. The same in the home, maybe the wife. But as you say, even men are being battered.
Yeah.
But because of the cultural issues, they can't even voice it, they can't talk about it. Yeah.
Wow, it's a very sad season to see all these things happening.
Yes.
And I can imagine like the recent occurrences in our context
Right.
of the students. It's not just one student.
No.
It's a
We have a
series.
number of students
Series
that have
of
been
them, yeah.
killed. I don't know what you think could be going on in the mind, psychologically speaking, in the mind of this man, besides just the pressure. That it's not just one young man that is taking away lives, but we have seen several young men take away lives of young ladies. But it's only that most probably that the men are not being reported. There could be cases.
Yes.
What would you say could be there?
Let me start by saying that mental health is about well-being psychologically, socially, and emotionally. So if all those are shaky, then it results into violence or whichever other way of escape. And earlier on I mentioned substance abuse. Many people or many young people who take or abuse substances, by the time they're doing these heinous acts, they're not in their right mind.
Yeah.
They are under some kind of influence. And as being Christians, we can also say there's also demonic activity. We shouldn't shy from saying that. But emotionally, psychologically, or socially speaking, they may be under some kind of influence. By the time they get out of whichever high they were in, they discover what they've done. And they regret, but they've already done it.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate. Bishop, you have been married for 27 years, and that's not a few years in marriage. But also you have been in ministry for quite a period of time. And part of your response has been working with the young people. A great mentor you have been in ministry. And I don't know what you think, what you can say is the biblical response to this particular issue, because at the end of the day there is what man can do, but there's the ultimate answer that comes from God.
Thank you, Purity. I would say about 2-3 things. Number one is the foundation. You know, foundations matter for anything in life. How you become is the foundation you are given. And what I'm sensing around us nowadays is that people have neglected the biblical foundation. If you talk about me and how I was raised up, you know, Sunday school was a must. I was exposed to the things of God. And so that fear of God was inculcated in me as I grew up. And therefore, in my decision making, it formed the framework of my thinking and decision making.
That's true.
But one of the other problems we are having in society now is people have neglected God. And so our young people are going into life with no foundation whatsoever. Either their parents who are not keen about them going to church, or they themselves were not able to go to church for one reason or the other. And so there lacks that what I would call spiritual formation, which then brings you to develop a mindset and an understanding of a God-fearing heart, a God-fearing life, so that when it comes to making choices, it is the one that guides you to know that this is wrong and this is right. And in the absence of that, that's why you find there's so much violence, is because people do not have a conscience that accuses them for their actions. They don't have anything else they can reflect themselves onto, because they don't have a foundation. They don't have a biblical fallback. And so for me, I would say number one is that there is need for us to get people back to the book.
Absolutely.
Get them back to the basics, and that is the fear of God is the beginning of all wisdom. And then secondly, the other thing that I see happening, which again, as churches we need to arise to, is to be able to develop programs to target these young people. Because many churches, all they're up to is sow the seed, you know,
Yeah.
and you know what you can bring and what I can get from you. But we are leaving a whole generation of people here who are not so keen about this sowing the seed and the miracles and all the other things that come with our, you know, spiritual fantasies. They want something tangible that can help them to meet the demands of life. And so I would suggest that there is need for us as churches, as church leaders, to address our young people. Do we have any programs for them? Do we have youth pastors who can work with these young people? Do we have structure in terms of discipleship programs that the young people can go into and that can preoccupy them in a positive way, other than having all this time on their hands and they don't have anything to do with themselves? So what do they end up doing? They end up into heinous situations like my wife mentioned. And so I would suggest that we need to get people having the fear of God into their hearts, and that begins right from the moment somebody is born.
Of course.
You know, we need to institute proper discipleship making even in our primary schools. I thank God for the PPI program, but we need to do more than that. And then secondly, I'm saying for those of us who are running churches, do we have programs for our youth? Do we engage them positively? Like when they are on holiday and they are not in school, what else do we have other than just the Sunday to Sunday programs? And so somebody has to think through and has to be very deliberate in putting structure that can be a support system for our young people.
Maybe I can just say that could it be that people have become lovers of themselves and haters of God, having a form of godliness and denying the power in there? I guess we are living in those days. I just needed to throw that in.
In fact, now that you brought that out, I'm actually wondering, because we live in a generation of high speed, KPIs, things have to be done. People work 24/7, whereby maybe could it be also there is a crack at the family level where parents are available even to do what you're talking about?
Exactly.
Are they themselves discipled?
That is number 3 item I was going to bring out.
Yes,
you just let me snatch it out from you.
Go ahead.
Because you see, again, the foundation is home. And we are asking, so how is the home background like? And we are seeing that in the home there's a lot of violence. So the children grow up in violence. And it has been said, you only breed your own kind. And so these children, when they are big and they have their own families, what do? They do what mom and dad used to do. And then the other thing is, apart from violence, there's a lot of divorce and separation in the homes. So children are being raised up by single parents. And in an environment where they are not able to get both parental input in terms of upbringing and also instilling and calculating those virtues that will help them be balanced in the approach of life. So again, as you mentioned, the family front. If the home is not the place of refuge, then where else?
And yet their parents, Christian parents, pastors, they do everything they can. They bring up their children in church. They show them the ways of God. They get them into these programs. They take them to park, for example, after Form 4 and so on. But the pool in the world. The pool in the world. You know all this that your parents have taught you, but the other side looks rather exciting. So that is where you want to go. So that we don't beat up parents too much. Yes, there is a gap, and a huge gap, because children are into, social media and gadgets and so on. In our time, or maybe even people a little older than us, in the evening there was no activity. The family will sit together. You've done all your chores, cleaned up and so on. You sit around a fire or whatever and talk stories and talk about what used to happen. Oh, how did dad and mom meet? Oh, what happened? And you pass on certain virtues. We can be in a sitting room in the modern family, and everyone is on a gadget, and there's yet another big gadget that is on. So there's a big crack. There is
They're
a gap.
actually interacting with
Other
persons
people.
that are outside the space where you're seated.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very interesting generation.
it is.
In fact, they say that it takes a generation to lose a generation.
Oh,
You know.
yes, yes.
So we have a big challenge
Yes.
in our generation
Yeah.
to address these issues, because it looks like there is such a big gap. And now that we have gone digital, everyone is online.
Yeah.
You eat online, you do your stuff online. Conversations is online on WhatsApp. You could be seated in the same table room, but you tell each other, go eat
Yes.
on WhatsApp.
Online.
So it's quite a challenge.
It is.
And we have a lot of work to do as the church.
Yeah.
I believe the church is the salt and
And
the
the
light
light
of the world. So the expectation of transformation is not with the people outside.
No.
So we must rise to the occasion.
Yes.
Definitely.
And we also need to start asking ourselves very critical questions. Like you said, are the churches, do they have youth programs that can respond, are really doing what we are talking of, the basics and the formation of the person. But where the rubber meets the road is with the family front.
Yeah. And then even the couples themselves. Yeah, churches need to develop programs and structure where couples can be also addressed. Yeah, because as we said, the violence is in the home, and we are not just talking about homes outside of church.
Of course.
Even right here within the church,
Yes.
the violence is happening. It's just that we are very good in covering up ourselves with our Sunday best, but in the inside we know what is happening.
Absolutely.
We are rotten. We are not the very best,
Yeah.
and so churches need to have programs where couples can get into what we call married couples care groups. They can talk to one another. They can, peer mentor each other, and also have accountability. Because again, when you are all by yourself,
Yes.
it is very possible for you to destroy each other.
Yes.
But when you have other couples that know you and that you are also known to them, somehow when things are beginning to break up out, they will come and they will find out what is it that we can do, or how can we be of help to you. So for me, again, I would suggest there is need for having deliberate intentional programs to engage couples positively in the church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for those responses. You have been watching the CITAM Church Online live session. My name is Purity Murungi, who has been your host. Thank you for watching. The Lord bless you.